And we are back with another episode of the Hockey Princess podcast. I am your host, the Hockey Princess. We have Crusty Old Guy once again. Folks, just as a reminder, make sure to hit that like and subscribe on it. There's Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube, however you watch or listen to us ramble on a weekly basis. If you are going to a game this season, any hockey game at all, Chicago, Rockford, college, please wait for the whistle. Do not get up while the puck's in play. And if you are going to a Blackhawk game or anything at the United Center, highly recommend Su Taqueria El Rey del Taco over on Ogden. Food is great. Folks are great. And if you're there for a Blackhawk game, you will probably see Krusty and I, or at least one of us, there.
Yes.
All right, Krusty, let's get into it. We have NHL things to talk about.
What?
I know. I have a list.
Have you been checking it twice?
No, I just checked it once.
Oh, Jesus.
I know, I'm a failure.
No, that's okay though.
We've got some injury news because apparently the Vancouver Canucks have not suffered enough this season. Thatcher Demko is out. He is done for the year. Big time for Kevin Lankinen. But he is out. It really stings for him because I know he's definitely been battling some heavy duty, different things throughout the body to the point where, I think it was over the summer or last year, whenever Vancouver was like, whatever Thatcher Demko has is not something that like he can fix with surgery. He's just going to have. So you knew it was something big bad, but he is sidelined for the rest of the year. I also think it kind of makes sense for the Vancouver Canucks right now. There's no reason for Thatcher Demko to push himself in this moment. Demko's not going to the Olympics. Vancouver isn't doing well this season. You're better off sidelining Demko and just letting him rehab with whatever he needs to rehab with surgery and everything. And then kind of just coming back in October and seeing where they are at that point.
Well, according to NHL.com, he is going to have surgery. Will undergo surgery next week for an injury unrelated to the injury that kept him out earlier. So
yeah,
none of that sounds good.
No. So, but I think it makes sense for obviously him because like if you're hurt, get surgery. That's a common sense thing in my opinion. But also, it makes sense for Vancouver. Why push your goalie that's already having injuries right now? Why do it?
There's no reason, yes. And you're trying to be the first last team.
Right.
So, hey, why not?
So that's kind of the big injury right now. Another injury, we'll jump over to the Olympics really quick because there were some roster announcements in terms of Team Sweden. Leo Carlsson and Jonas Brodin are out for Team Sweden. That stinks because I was definitely looking forward to watching Leo Carlsson be the number one center for Team Sweden for the Olympics. And then they have announced that Hampus Lindholm and Marcus Johansson are going to be the replacements. So still some pretty, quality guys coming into Team Sweden. I think Hampus Lindholm was one of those initially that when the Team Sweden roster came out, a lot of people were surprised that he wasn't on the list. So obviously he was, in consideration high up on that injured reserve list for Team Sweden. So it's a 2-for-2 switch out with Team Sweden for the Olympics in a couple of weeks.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Moving on because Krusty has nothing. We've got a trade, one that our New Jersey Devils insider told us I think it was like a week and a half ago that was definitely going to happen. So shout out to Neil from Devil State of Mind for telling us that this was definitely on the radar for the New Jersey Devils. Andre Palat is out with a couple of draft picks to the New York Islanders. I'm going to be really honest. I cannot pronounce the last name of the guy that New Jersey got in that trade, but there were rumors and rumblings. Is Dougie Hamilton out? Is Palat out? I think they were trying to move on from Palat earlier than they were trying to move on from Dougie Hamilton, to my understanding. So it was definitely one that was on the radar, but I think it's just heated up as of recent. So Palat is moved out to the New York Islanders.
Yeah, basically, New Jersey's in kind of a cap hell.
Yeah.
And Palat still has another year on him. So they had to package up a third rounder with Palat to take back a bigger forward that really hasn't done anything for the Islanders. And his $3 million. Huh?
Change of scenery.
Yes. And his $3 million contract, thus at the end of the day, saving $3 million. Yeah. That's what it's all come down to. Palat will be good depth for the Islanders as they make their push for the playoffs.
Absolutely. Moving over to Detroit, we've got some news. We've got Sherratt with a 3-year extension for the Detroit Red Wings. This was kind of expected, I think. Maybe some folks were surprised. I do not focus on the Detroit Red Wings enough to have a concrete opinion about it, but it didn't seem like it was one of those where it was a big shocking thing for him to be re-signed.
No, again, he's probably at the end of the day maybe like a third pair guy, but at just $4 million a year,
not bad
for a veteran presence, as long as he holds together. Yeah.
And Detroit's one of those weird ones, and I'm gonna pull up the actual number, but Detroit's one of those weird ones where it's surprisingly they have room.
Oh, they've got a lot of room.
Yeah, like they're looking. I still, for the life of me, can't tell the difference on Puckpedia. I'm going to be honest, listeners. I can't tell the difference between what projected cap space and current cap space really means the difference of, but it's a huge difference for the Detroit Red Wings. But at minimum, they've got $13 million in wiggle room.
Yes. No, they have plenty of depth. I mean, they've still got other people that at some point in time they're going to need to re-sign. So, again, that's more on their back end.
Yeah.
And the projected cap space basically has to do with people injured. But, yeah, we don't need to know.
And then other news, and I don't know if they're playing tonight for this to change, but Patrick Kane has tied Mike Modano's record as Krusty is wearing the number 88. We knew this was happening. Hawks fans have known this for a long time, that this was going to happen. Congrats to Kane. Wish he would have done this in Chicago, but, happy to see him break records.
Yeah.
Or tie records and break records eventually.
Well, he'll be breaking records, but yeah, you can't get everything that you want. So I'm just glad that that surgery seemed to go pretty decent for him, and he's still able to play at a decently high level and is going to continue to break records. So, yeah, congrats to Kane.
Yeah. That is all that I have on the NHL world. Krusty, do you have anything?
Well, yes. Yes, Hockey Princess, I do.
Love it.
Number one, we have the Breadman, who will be held out of the lineup from now on. And they call it
Capitals, unfortunately.
Roster management. So what I'm getting at is he won't play until he is moved.
Right.
So I don't know if you're hearing Washington.
I'm hearing Washington. The big issue that I've heard is, regardless of what team that there's been, because there's been the rumors of Colorado, there's been the rumors of Dallas, there's been the rumors of Washington. There's been solid rumors of a decent portion of teams for Panarin. But the biggest thing that I've heard that's kind of the biggest factor is Panarin wants term. And it's who is going to take him and give him term? Because does he have, checking Artemi Panarin's contract situation, folks?
He's a UFA after this year. So.
Right.
And him saying he wants term, I don't. Let's get
So
his.
does everybody else.
Let's get his age, huh? How old?
34.
He's 34. And with term, I would assume he wants 5 years to play until he is 39. Is that impossible? No. He's Artemi Panarin. So he's not going into the corners.
Right.
He's not putting on the heavy miles as other players would. I don't know who gives him the term he's looking for that is a playoff contender. So this is going to be an interesting one.
Yeah.
Because I don't teams that would like him for a playoff push aren't giving him 5. If he wants 5 years, he's going to have to go to a bad team.
Right.
So, and that's all I've got on Artemi Panarin. But while we're in the NHL world, I thought we should talk about a team.
Yes.
And that is your Buffalo Sabres.
What is going on, folks? I have to stop myself now anytime somebody tells me they're a Sabres fan, and I have to like look at them apologetically. But it's like, no, they're doing fantastic. There was the running joke for a while when they were on the heater that, after episode 4 of Heated Rivalry, where they shit on Buffalo, that then they went on a 10-game heater after that episode aired. So thank you, Crave and HBO, for giving Buffalo that heater. But everything is working very well since they had, management changing in the higher ups. Good for Buffalo.
Well, I wanted to get to something else. They are now in 3rd place with their eyes set on 2nd place.
Love it.
With this kind of push, you start to get things of Coach of the Year and GM of the Year. How is that actually going to work? Because I'm really curious. You fired your GM.
Right.
This team, the Buffalo Sabres, is completely his product.
But it's not.
It is. They haven't made any trades.
But they weren't winning.
Right,
Obviously.
Right. But all the players were brought in by Kevin Adams, right?
Yes.
So this is the fascinating part for me. This fascinating season, the Cinderella push, you can almost think of a GM of the Year award. And who does that go to? The GM who did nothing? Because he is not going to make any moves. It is all Kevin Adams. I just find it unbelievably fascinating.
I mean,
he built it.
And they weren't winning.
Right.
You consistently built a losing product. You get fired and then they win. This is not like, Stan Bowman getting credit for the dynasty era when the 2 GMs before him built half the team because they were starting to win when Dale was still there. You were losing for years with Kevin Adams. You built a losing structure.
Right. But this is Kevin Adams' team. He built this whole team. This team that's on this phenomenal run is his team. Yes, it is. He built it. He didn't do the winning or losing. He put together this whole core.
Right.
And for some reason they couldn't play. And what? He leaves and all of a sudden they can? I call shenanigans.
Hey, sometimes
can we
it
give
goes
him
well
GM
to
of
get
the
the
year
toxic
after
mentality out of the room.
I can't buy that either. And I struggle with this kind of a jump to buy that everybody got scared that they were going to be traded or let go. I don't think you frightened anybody by saying we're going to trade you out of Buffalo. I don't think that automatically just boosts everybody. I find it fascinating. Just wanted to bring it up. There. Any thoughts? You've given me your thoughts.
Yeah, Buffalo for the win. Let's go. Maybe Buffalo's my bandwagon team.
I want to see them.
Postseason.
I want to see them first in their division, and yeah, Kevin Adams gets the GM of the Year award and doesn't have a job. Beautiful, beautiful.
That's fine. There's worse GMs that could be up for that.
All right, that was all. I think I am done with the NHL world. I don't think we really have anything else, do we?
Not really.
You sure? I'm double checking, triple checking. I got a lot of things I got to check. A lot of moving parts.
Got a lot of moving parts.
Always moving parts. And yeah, I got nothing.
Okay. Jumping to prospect report. Starting off with Jack Pridham out of the Kitchener Rangers. We have 3 goals and 4 assists. With Merrick Vanacker from the Brantford Bulldogs, we have 4 goals and 2 assists. Nathan Bem with the Kamloops Blazers, 2 goals and 1 assist. 1 goal for the Ashton Cumbie out of the Seattle Thunderbirds. 1 goal and 1 assist for John Mustard out of Providence College. 1 goal and 2 assists for Julius Sumpf, also out of Providence College. The Guyon unfortunately took a big hit this weekend. 2 losses against Western Michigan at home, bringing his save percentage down to .905. And he does not get a break like the rest of his friends. I mean, I don't even think college hockey has like an Olympic break, but he's going to Milan in a couple of weeks. So I also wouldn't blame him if his head is elsewhere at the moment. And then talking about Krusty's favorite and apparently Frank Saravalli's favorite guy to talk about last night prior to the Minnesota Wild game, you've got Roman Kanserov with 51 points in 47 games.
Yeah, I don't watch pregame.
I know.
I don't watch them between periods.
I know.
And
we had the like top 5 prospects to look out for.
I'm looking out for all of them.
It was, would you like to know what the top 5 were?
Well, yes. Yes, I would.
You had Anton Friendel, shocking. That's everybody's favorite guy to talk about for the past week or so. Second is your Sam Renzel. Third, Roman Kanserov. Fourth, Sasha. And fifth, Vaclav Nestrasil.
So, no Kevin Korchinski?
No. I believe Kevin was like number 7.
No Kevin Korchinski, huh? That was the number 7 pick, wasn't it?
Yeah, as you like to tell me and everybody else. All the time.
That was KD's first pick, right?
Okay, let's not hate on Kevin. We don't hate Kevin.
I don't hate anybody. I'm all about the love.
Exactly. So.
That's all I got to say.
That's great. Yeah. And then speed bump number 1. Yeah, big news is everybody's kind of talking for Anton. Does Anton Friendel come over at some point earlier than expected? Or not earlier than expected, but Drew Garden is not doing so hot. So I don't think that there's a worry of if they're in postseason contention at the SHL level. But it's kind of, when does he come over? I'm excited. I'm very excited. One, because if you've been listening to this show, you know I love to watch the kiddos, the prospects. That makes this rebuild more bearable to watch. And I think he's just a very interesting piece.
Yes, he's a very interesting piece. I will be curious if he's able to get, 10 games in.
Yes.
I don't know if now is the wise time to start burning up entry-level years with this team.
Why not? We're loaded.
Well, we're loaded now, but paydays are coming.
Are you really worried about the cap?
I don't need to.
Are you really?
Yes, I am worried about the cap. I don't need to start his year. I don't see why that's important. So I'd like him to play just 9 games. Is that okay? Can you guarantee me that, Hockey Princess?
I'm doing the math.
She's taking off her shoes. We must be past 10.
Yeah, because Krusty's making me work late night. So
yeah. Bad Krusty.
yes.
Krusty had to work.
Djurgården rounds out finishes off the season on March 13th. So there's still a decent portion of games. However, I don't think that they would make him immediately like, oh, guess what? You finish on the 13th. You are playing in Vegas on the 14th. I think there's definitely going to be some breathing time. I also wouldn't be surprised if they... Oh, no, they can't. Never mind. He would have to only play 9 games. Yeah, that's an interesting one. I mean, maybe you give him like time in between and then just back it up to playing the last 9.
It's possible.
Or you eat the first year. But, Krusty, if he eats the first year, then we're seeing him in Seattle.
That would be nice.
That would be very nice.
As I've always said, just because I think people should ferment somewhere or not be brought up right away doesn't mean I don't want them there, because like Hockey Princess, yes, I'd much rather watch them.
Yeah. I also think he's just an interesting piece in terms of the difference between who can play center now and who will play center long term. I think Anton Frandell really kind of makes an interesting point into that conversation, because I think right now we're like, well, what do you mean? You've got NASCAR at the dot, you've got Connor Bedard at the dot. But what if they didn't have to? What if you had somebody a little bit sturdier in terms of size, in terms of that's their thing, and you can let Connor Bedard or Frank Nazar kind of do their thing? Not to say that they can't, because they're doing it right now. But, it's kind of one of those where it's like you're at a 9 out of 10. Wouldn't it be great if you were in a position to be a 10 out of 10?
Correct. And for all the haters out there that are going to point out that, Frandell is not playing center right now. Yes, we all know that here at the show, so you don't need to point that out, okay? He's a young man playing in a man's league. It's kind of the reason why he's on the wing right now there. Right. And even World Juniors, they loaded up a line.
Yes.
So we do understand that, because I know that's coming on the chat boards on the X, on the Y, on the Z.
Yeah. Of the Swedish fans up my butt about not watching Anton Frandell.
Yes. And I've seen the Stenberg kid listed as short as 5'10". So if we are allowed to chime in on that too. Also, KD has shown that he likes burning the first year anyways. I believe, depending on how things go, they're going to want to get him out in front of the fan base as soon as possible. They need to sell the dream for next year's tickets. So, and I'd love to see him play. That's for sure.
I have a question.
I don't have any answers. I am basically a moron.
Okay, so we've discussed that, if they're going to play in Rockford, that they have to be like on the list come the day, right?
Yeah, I forget what the date is, but yeah.
There's the day where it's like you are sent down just to be, because they've done that a couple of times with like Slaggert or whomever, where it's like you just have to be on the sheet by 3:00 on this day. You can immediately be moved up, but you just have to be on the sheet.
Yes, it's a paper transfer up and down, basically. Yes.
But you had college editions post that day last year, specifically Aiden Thompson from University of Denver, and then you had Tage Harding out of Providence College. How does that work?
What do you mean post?
They were additions once their college, like once Denver got knocked out, once Providence College wrapped up, They then went to go in Rockford.
But did they play for Rockford?
They dressed.
Did they dress, or were they up in the press box?
I very much remember sitting at the Allstate, seeing Tage Harding during warm-ups.
I do not know how that works then, and I will have to get back to you on that.
Because speaking of prospects, there's the Sasha conversation too. Because one would expect that, he doesn't go back to Boston for his junior year. Gosh, I hope not. Because like we said last week, guys, this kid is so entertaining to watch. But if he can't go to Rockford, do you also eat that contract, or do you just tell him to hold off? And he's in the prospects.
Well, it's up in the NHL to burn the first year. So if he plays in Rockford, it doesn't mean anything about starting his entry-level contract.
Can he then go to Rockford because he's after the sheet?
I do not know. I do not know, because I'm trying to think back on it. For the most part, nobody who was brought up that way actually played in playoff games, but I don't know if that's because they couldn't.
Right.
Or basically you've played a whole year with a group of guys, and then to bench someone is
maybe they just
difficult,
but they didn't play.
Could be.
I remember I remember Tage Harding being there, because obviously, Tage Harding's an absolutely massive unit. He was one that I was hoping would get a time to shine when Louis Crevier was out with the flu, just because it's a pretty easy size replacement. Because I think Louis is 6'8" and Tage Harding's 6'7" or something. I remember seeing Harding there because I'm like, oh my God, this kid is actually massive.
Yeah, I will have to get back to you on that, Hockey Princess. Because I am not completely sure. I wish I was, but I'm not.
Yeah. I
know. Bad me, bad me, bad me.
There he is on the ice for warm-ups.
Okay.
And that's the round robin. So you can at least dress at the AHL level. Maybe as you just can't play.
Right, but they wouldn't have had him dressed if he wasn't playing. They usually don't do that.
No, they did that because they didn't have Vanaker play, but Vanaker was there too.
But was he dressed?
He was down at warm-ups. The jersey was on.
Okay, I got nothing for you then. We have really derailed this show, and that one thing about that I used to tell you about, when I was teaching, you can't ask questions that you don't know the answer to.
No, but I
we just answered. We asked a lot, about 1,500 of them.
Right, but I figured you would know the answer because you are the all-knowing.
That's a real good one, and I am not the all-knowing. Close, but not the all-knowing.
Fair enough. Speaking of Rockford, guys, I'm going to be honest, I really don't have much. I will have more during the Olympic break, just because we haven't talked about them a ton for the past couple of weeks, but we'll dive more into Rockford during the Olympic break when we don't have the Big Boy Club to talk about. But it has been a rough road this weekend for the boys down in Rockford. One discussion that Cressy we had, I forget which time we were getting tacos, and you made the great point of,
I made a great point.
Do you let these kids have rest during the Olympic break? This is the most that they have been playing hockey. Do you let them have rest? I understand it. I understand the viewpoint of it. I think my fear comes from, there's been a couple of times where I haven't seen priority of the Rockford Ice Hogs. And so it just makes me nervous that, why isn't anybody paying attention? Sort of thing. You didn't have, a ton of people down for that paper transaction thing that we talked about. So you didn't have a ton of, guys who were up at the bigger club end up playing Rockford in the postseason. And I'm not talking about like sending NASCAR down. I'm talking about more the guys that would fluctuate between the two that you kind of expected to be down in Rockford for the postseason. There's just been little things where I'm like, we could make Rockford stronger. And so by not doing that, it gives me a cause for concern. But I also see the viewpoint of, some of these kids who you would only play on the weekends and really haven't played this much hockey, to give them some rest. So I see both sides of it.
Yeah, I think you have to look at both sides. And obviously Laz listens to the show also, because
shout out to Laz. We love you.
We did ask for some of the beat writers and some of the regular writers that have access to ask that question, and he asked that question.
Incredible.
So that's, to give you the backstory to your listeners. So that's what we were talking about. And Bash and Pop basically said that the thought process was with some of them that the condensed schedule, they're already playing so much more than they've ever played before. Lardass has mentioned it a couple times where, it's a lot of games. So they made it seem like they were open to maybe not sending them down during the break. That's the backstory for that. And yes, as you pointed out, that does make kind of sense. It
does make sense, but I also
like to win, so we'd like Rockford to win too, and that's where for a better term, that's why hopefully the grown-ups make grown-up decisions, and we're the little children just wanting everything.
Right.
And the idea is for what's best for them for the rest of the season. And especially like in Oliver Moore, if they're planning to keep him up for the rest of the year, then probably it is best that he just take a break, come back and practice with the team when practice is reopened.
Right.
So I get all of that.
Yeah. So, and like I said, we'll deep dive a little bit more into Rockford, because Rockford doesn't take a break. They'll have their All-Star week thing in Rockford. But we'll break down more of what's going on at the Ice Hogs level when the big club is on Olympic break.
Yes, don't forget All-Star game in Screw City.
Yeah. Jumping to Big Boy Club. We've got some games, some good stuff, some not so good stuff, some great stuff. The great stuff really was just that I was right. Let's see. What game are we starting with, Krusty?
I thought it was the Carolina game. Is that correct?
Yes, we've got the Carolina game, which, sure, I'll take some points out of that matchup. No problem. That was definitely a matchup where I didn't think we would be able to pull away with much, because even though Carolina is having their ups and downs with injury, with just inconsistency of things, on a bad day, they are still a pretty competitive team. So that was definitely one matchup that I was kind of worrisome going into. It got pushed around a bit. Rebel Yell pushed right back. I know Krusty wasn't the biggest fan of it, but, we've been complaining for the past couple of weeks of we're not showing any heart. We're not taking anybody's shit. And Oliver Moore said plain and simple, I'm not taking any of your shit. So I liked where his head was at in terms of the attitude of it. Did I think that it really warranted fighting? No, but I like where your head's at, kid. And yeah, taking some points out of Carolina, sure. I'm not going to complain. I thought it could have been a lot worse.
Oh, it definitely could have been. Again, Carolina started to come around. They definitely were a little bit more physical. I thought the Hawks did a really good job of taking hits to make a play, which I've told you many times that's how I describe team toughness. It's not the big buff hitting somebody, it's the person who takes the extra stride to make the play and's got to take the hit. That's where you find there's a lot of people that'll bail. I thought they really stuck in there for all of that. Oliver Moore got banged around. NASCAR got banged around. Lardass got banged around. The Moore fight, I didn't mind the Moore fight. As you stated, it didn't warrant. That's a good, solid check. Again, points aren't all that important. Team bonding is. I know for a fact that as far as the young kids in that room, they really like Oliver Moore. So, and that just doubled on it also. I mean, he did drop the gloves. There wasn't much fighting. He dropped the gloves and he dropped. But
well, to be fair, Nikishin's a big guy.
Yes, and it was their first fight, I believe, for each of them. But they played strong.